got anchovies. No, they're not ready. Gummy bears. No, I'm not ready. Chipped beef. 6 years old. Nobody's ready. It's time for another Pantry Raid episode. And this time out, I really want to champion an underdog, you know, an ingredient that, despite unparalleled versatility, stellar nutrition, and great flavor, has been repeatedly passed over for pantry promotion. What's this? Lentils. Hey, that's good. It's perfect. You know, lentils are the victims of a centuries-long smear campaign.
Of lentils? Of course I eat lentils, but then I'm above planetary indulgences. Lentils? You mean those little green things they pack the statues in? I'd never touch those. Lentils are difficult to digest, prone to inflaming the stomach, and a leading cause of bad eyesight and nightmares. I do not like them. No, do not listen to him. Lentils are wonderful. Silly Louis doesn't know what he's saying. Oh, please, Marie, I'm the king.
Yep. Lentils have had it rough through the ages. That's because all too often they're associated with poverty. But believe me, whether it's hard times or high cotton, lentils deserve a spot. Nay, an entire shelf in the pantry, because they're not just good for you. They're... Behold the lentil. Lens culinaris. One might assume that the lens-like shape inspired the name, but it's actually the other way around. This critter's moniker actually inspired the name of the device that I am looking through, as well as the one that you're looking through. Like peas and beans, lentils are legumes, but they've got one really big advantage over the other members of the family, and that is that they cook very quickly due to their unusual shape. Now, lentils come in many sizes and colors. Why? Well, I hate to admit this, but I'm not a, no, I can't say it.
Nutritional anthropologist.
One of these days, I'm going to get a court order. Go ahead.
Lentils come in so many shapes and colors because they've been around so long. It was one of the earliest crops domesticated in Mesopotamia more than 8,000 years ago.
Okay, what does that have to do with color?
Well, in the wild, it grows in different colors. But as it spread around Europe, Asia, and Africa, people selected certain colors that they liked, and that's the ones they cultivated.
So, any favorite varieties?
I'm a big fan of dal.
Ah, well, there is the segue to the variety discussion. Now, dal, or masoor dal, refers to the Indian split red lentil. Very good at soaking up moisture and therefore very popular in soups. Dal, by the way, is Hindi for split lentil. The whole version is called gram. Now, other varieties you are probably going to run into, the good old green lentil, which tends to get mushy if overcooked, but it's still extremely versatile pantry staple. Here we have some flavorful European varieties, Spanish pardinas and Italian usticas, which are very, very small, but they hold their shape well when cooked. So that when you eat them, they're kind of like, I don't know, kind of like eating caviar. Ooh, here's something special. These are called, hey, what the, hey, what's with the manhandling?
Ah, what is this? Ah, Vert de Puy, renowned specialty of the Haute-Loire region of France. With the volcanic soil and ideal climate grows the perfect lentil.
Who are you guys?
This is none of your concern. Do you see this seal?
Yeah, I see it.
These lentils was the first vegetable to be granted Appellation d'Origine Contrôlée certification. Do you know what this means?
Well, sure. It means that only lentils from Puy get to say they're from Puy. You guys do that with all kinds of things.
We must protect our culinary heritage.
Yeah, and your marketing options too, huh?
We're not sure you deserve such an ingredient. Do you have any references?
References? No, I don't have any references. I have a cooking show.
Ah, do you know the chairman?
Allez, cuisine!
Yeah, who do you think taught him all those moves, huh?
Then you may have no, 2 packages of these fine lentils, but no substitutions. We'll be watching. Legumes, allez!
Hey, watch it. Now, unless you really, really like your dentist, the first thing you should do in cooking lentils is you should check for pebbles. Even the most secure processing facility will occasionally let a little lentil look-alike slip through, but this looks good otherwise. Now, next, we need to give our lentils a rinse. They're very often covered in dust, especially if they are organic in nature. Now, let's see. I've got a pound of lentils here. That's 2.5 cups, and that is going to be good for 6 to 8 servings as a side dish. I think this time we will go with a straightforward, basic cooking procedure.
So place the lentils along with 1 small onion halved, 1 large clove of garlic halved, a bay leaf, a teaspoon of kosher salt, and a 1/4 pound of salt pork into a large 6-quart saucepan and cover with water by 2 to 3 inches. Put this over high heat.
Now, if you've been paying attention, you have no doubt noticed that our lentils went directly into the cooking pot without the traditional dry legume pre-soak. Indeed, lentils are happy to go directly from pantry to the hot water for 2 reasons. 1, they have a very thin skin, which makes for fast liquid absorption. But even more important is the lens-like shape, which increases the overall surface to mass ratio, meaning that the liquid has a shorter trip to get in to the center of the device. End of lecture.
Once the lentils reach a rolling boil, reduce the heat to low, cover, and simmer until they are tender, 25 to 30 minutes.
And now, we drain. There's not going to be a whole lot of liquid, but there will be a little bit, and we need to get rid of it. You may also want to fish out the large pieces of onion, and of course the salt pork, which is still hiding in here someplace. There we go. Now, once the lentils cool down, you can just add a little salt and pepper and eat them as is, or you can let them cool and we'll do some other creative things. As for the leftovers, well, you certainly wouldn't want to waste them. We'll give them to the dog. Here you go, girl. They love the salt pork. That's what it is. Let's contemplate a salad dressing for this, okay? Ow, ow, ow. Begin with 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard. To that, we will whisk in 1/2 cup of red wine vinegar, 1/4 cup of olive oil, and 1/4 cup of freshly chopped parsley. More herbs in the form of 1 teaspoon of freshly chopped thyme, a teaspoon of kosher salt, 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper, and last but by no means least, 6 to 8 pieces of cooked bacon chopped up. Now, if that weren't already good enough, we will now add 1 full recipe of our lentils and toss to combine. This can either be served warm or at room temperature. Delicious. Really delicious. Now, I have been doing a good bit of lentil research, and I have found that 98% of all the lentils that are grown in the United States come from a tiny patch of fertile volcanic soil in the Pacific Northwest, an area called the Palouse, I believe is how you say it. Originally grown there as a means of feeding a local population of mostly vegetarian Seventh-day Adventists. Now, this makes sense when you consider the nutritional power of the lentil. High in fiber, low in fat, good source of B vitamins, folate, magnesium, potassium. They're easy to digest, meaning that they don't produce as much a gassy byproduct as other legumes. And of course, there's the protein. Of all the edible plants, only soybeans contain more. What's the big deal about protein? Well, hey, you remember my neighbor Chuck, right? Here. Chuck just got back from a Trekkie convention. So, Chuck, how was the big show?
Live long and prosper.
Right back at you. Got a trivia question for you. What was the name of the episode where there was this crew member? She was kind of cute too, and she got zapped into a cube, and the guy threw the cube on the ground and he stamped on it.
Season 2, episode 22, By Any Other Name, and Julie Cobb played the unfortunate yeoman in question. She was cute. Hey, that's cool. I don't recognize that. That must be from the next generation. I'm not into that.
Once you remove the water from the human body, about 75% of what remains proteins, which make up a considerable amount of the structure of the body, including hair, and the chemicals that allow the body to operate. That means that proteins are both hardware and software. Now, protein in the diet is a complex issue because not only do we need enough of it to be healthy, it's got to be properly composed. Sorry, big guy. Proteins are like long trains made up of molecules called amino acids. Now, there are 20 amino acids, and what a particular protein does depends on which aminos are in it and what their order is along the train. Now, our bodies require thousands of different proteins to operate, and so what happens is when we consume protein in food, our digestive systems break down the amino acids and reassemble them into the protein trains that we need. Now, the body can also synthesize certain amino acids, but there are 9 known as the essential amino acids, including lysine, which must come from the outside world, i.e. food. Now, most animal protein sources, eggs and meat, are complete, meaning that they contain all of those 9 essential amino acids. However, some legumes, such as soybeans and lentils, come very, very close. But wait, there's more. The problem with animal proteins is that they usually come with some less than healthy baggage. For instance, a mere 6-ounce piece of porterhouse delivers 38 grams of complete protein along with 44 grams of fat, a third of which are saturated. A cup of cooked lentils, on the other hand, delivers 18 grams of protein and just under 1 gram of fat. Now, the protein here isn't quite as complete as the meat, but I think that is way overshadowed by the low fat and high fiber. Not to mention the fact that lentils only cost about $1.89 a pound. When you consider their flavor, texture, cost, and cooking time, lentils may be just the best plant-born soup base on planet Earth. We begin with 2 tablespoons of olive oil going into a 6-quart Dutch oven, or just a large pot, over medium heat. On top of that, the mirepoix. That is 2 parts of chopped onion, 1 part each of celery and carrot. In this case, 1 cup and half a cup, respectively. Now, since this is a sweat and we want to pull moisture out of the food, we'll go ahead and add 2 teaspoons of kosher salt. We're going to let this sweat until the onions are translucent, 6 to 7 minutes. If the vegetables start to brown, you have got to back off the heat. And now we add the remaining software. 1 pound of lentils, which have been sorted and rinsed, a cup of peeled chopped tomatoes, you can use canned in a pinch, and the spices. We're going to go with half a teaspoon each, freshly ground coriander and cumin. And if you really want to up the flavor, you'll combine them and toast them in the pan before grinding. And then an optional ingredient, but one that I like very much, a half teaspoon of freshly ground grains of paradise. Nice. Then we follow that with 2 quarts of either chicken or vegetable broth. Homemade would be best, but it's not absolutely necessary. Just a second. Excuse me. Hello? Oh, hi. Oh, yes, chef. Oh, I know it's not very common in American kitchens, but no, sir, it's not rocket scientist. But who had ever heard of cayenne pepper before you? Yes, chef. Well, chef. Bam to you too, sir. I've been asked to take a moment to discuss grains of paradise, a spice that I admit is not very common in American kitchens, but it will be. It will be.
Malagueta pepper, commonly known as grains of paradise, hails from tropical West Africa and is cultivated primarily in Ghana. The small red-brown seeds, which come from the wrinkled pod of a reedy cousin of ginger, were especially popular as a spice from the time of Elizabeth I to George III. Interestingly enough, the name comes from an old Portuguese word meaning jellyfish.
Ever since discovering several sources on the internet for grains of paradise, I have found myself grinding it onto and into many dishes instead of black pepper. I even have a grinder set aside just for it. Mwah. Once the liquid comes to a boil, reduce the heat to low, cover, and simmer until the lentils are just tender. It's going to take 35 to 40 minutes, which isn't bad for a dried legume. Time for the doneness test. Well, they certainly look done, but do they taste done? Perfect consistency. They don't fall apart in the mouth. Got to kind of chew them a little bit. Now, at this point, you have a textural decision to make. You could certainly leave the soup as is, and if I was going to freeze this for long-term storage, I would leave it as is, but I like a little bit of a thicker liquid, so I'm going to hit it with a stick just for 25 to 30 seconds. I got to tell you, we have done our fair share of soups on this program through the years. This is my absolute favorite, especially with a little yogurt and some fresh herbage on there. Now, I know you, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, soups are great, salads are fine, but the true earmark of a pantry pal, true pantry pal, is versatility. You want versatility? I'll give you versatility. Come on, follow me. Lentils are very good at playing, well, not lentils. For instance, they've long been used as a meat substitute. You might even say that they are the penitent man's protein, since anybody who couldn't afford fish used to eat lentils during Lent. And no, the names are not related. It would really be cool if they were. Anyway, what if I told you that lentils also work and play well in the world of baked goods? Interested? I thought so. First, we prepare the lentils. I've got 4 ounces, about 2/3 of a cup of red lentils here, rinsed, as always. Then we're going to add 2 cups of water to that in a small pot. I'm going to put that over medium heat, bring to a simmer for 30 to 40 minutes until the lentils are just barely tender. And once they're cooked, we will remove from the heat and puree. There. Nice and smooth. Let that cool down while you assemble the rest of your software. Oh, by the way, if you're not going to cook right away, you can refrigerate this for 4 to 5 days. Or, of course, you could freeze it for 2 to 3 months tops. And now it is time to familiarize ourselves with the lentil baked good dry ingredient team. It begins with 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, kosher, 1½ teaspoons of cinnamon, ground, and 1/2 teaspoon of allspice, ground. Now you'll notice there is flour, indeed, 9½ ounces of pastry flour. That is about 2 cups. Now pastry flour is important here because it has a slightly lower protein content than all-purpose flour. Less protein, more tender baked good. What is it? I'm not telling you yet. Creaming. Assembly begins thusly. We have 6 ounces of butter at room temperature. That's a stick and a half, unsalted please, goes into the mixer. We'll cream that with 8 ounces of sugar. That's a cup, plain old granulated stuff. We go with medium speed. Now this is a very, very, very important step. It is called creaming, and it's not very well understood. What's happening here that's really important is that the sugar granules are literally ripping little holes into the butter, and that is creating little micro bubbles. That will determine the final texture of our baked good, and I'm not going to tell you what that is yet. So let this work for a few minutes until it looks like this. That is the perfect consistency. When you rub it between your fingers, you shouldn't even really feel any sugar anymore. Now, we continue with 1 egg. Now, vanilla extract, 2 teaspoons. I like to use the good stuff, but in baked goods, imitation works too. And now the lentils, and this is one whole recipe that we just did. It's a cup and a half. When the lentils are thoroughly integrated, we'll add the dry goods. And I like to use just a paper plate for this, a little easier to dose. Go with 3 doses. Might have to turn down the speed just a little bit so everything doesn't fly all over the kitchen. 2, 3. Now, depending on your mixer, you may need to stop and scrape down the edges. This looks pretty good. Now, the rest of the software. Last step, integrate the chunkies. We have 1 cup of standard rolled oats, 1 cup of dried cranberries, and 1 cup of dried, shredded, unsweetened coconut. In that goes. Now, once you've got this stirred in, you could refrigerate this covered for a couple of days, or heat your hot box to 375 degrees, being certain to have 3 racks evenly distributed throughout the box. Then, get yourself 3 Sheet pans or cookie sheets, line them with parchment paper, and then dose out your dough into 1 1/4-inch balls, either measuring with a complicated device like this or simply dosing them out with a 2-teaspoon disher like this. Then, bake for 15 to 17 minutes or until the internal temperature of the cookies hits 195 degrees. Now admit it, you guys never thought of lentil cookies.
If it is food, we have salt of it.
Yeah, whatever. Hey, Chuck, how you feeling down there, buddy?
Okay, Captain, these cookies are doing me a lot of good. What planet are you guys from?
We are from France.
You know, there may not be any such thing as dilithium crystals,
Liar!
but given their nutritional power, you could think of lentils
Your name
as
is Chuck, as in Norris?
Chuck the Scotty. Chuck the Spot.
Why am I having this conversation? Look, folks, if they're not already there, lentils deserve a place in your pantry. Historically significant, nutritionally magnificent. Lentils are versatile, easy to prepare, and darn tasty. And who wouldn't love a vegetable that can be turned into a cookie without anyone being any the wiser? That's sneaky eats as well as good eats. See you next time.